Let's get into that last game that we just saw, that I just saw, that you just saw, from Ohio State, as Ohio State absolutely handles Tennessee. And that was so impressive. Final score 42-17, obviously not really even that close. Ohio State totally dominated this Tennessee team. And this is a game that was supposed to be kind of that 8-9 game, closest matchup in the college football playoff based on seedings. And here's another takeaway that we're going to have the entire show is it is really hard to win on the road. Okay, these home venues, they produce great environments, great electricity, there's no doubt, but great home field advantage. All right, all the home teams win. Ohio State goes out there and made it look fairly easy, and we'll get into how they did that in a moment. But man, like, home field advantage is a thing. And remember, because of the way that this playoff was constructed, now, albeit a bit flawed, but the way it was constructed with the 2 byes going to Arizona State and Boise State, remember the teams that hosted, they were between the 3rd and 6th ranked teams in the country. That's not the seed that they got, but as far as the rankings go, these teams are incredible teams, as we all believe that they are. Okay, and it is very tough to win in someone's building who is this good. All of these teams, very rare that they're going to take home losses. All right, that's just kind of the nature of the beast. Now, does it happen sometimes? Yes, it absolutely does. Does it happen often? Absolutely not. And that's because these home field advantages are I think significant. And again, why I want more of this in the playoff moving forward. Now, let's get to this Ohio State team. Okay, so Ohio State, why did this look so much different than the last time we saw them against Michigan? Well, they leaned into exactly what I thought that they would lean into. Remember in the preview episode right here on the Joel Klatt Show, I told you that Ryan Day fixes things as well as anybody in the country. And he has shown a history of this, okay, whether it was from 2019 to 2020 when they lost to Clemson to then ending up beating Clemson to the playoff in 2020. The offensive game plan was so aggressive in 2020, kind of fixing the things that maybe they feel like they left on the table in 2019. Well, the same can be said in 2022. They get beat by Michigan and yet still make it into the college football playoff. And man, they threw some haymakers offensively against Georgia in that game. Remember now, even in a loss, they went out there and played sensational offensively. So in the back of my mind, I thought to myself, they understand that that was a poor game plan against Michigan. They understand that they can't roll out there in front of their fan base and not play in space and on the perimeter. They can't do that. That's not a game plan that their fan base would have accepted. Okay? And rightly so. So they went out there and they fixed the issues that they had against Michigan. I said that they would play in space, that they would play with a little bit more tempo and get that talent and speed, the ball in those areas to affect the defense. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. Man, the aggressive nature just in that first quarter, it was like an avalanche just rolling down the field. Tennessee did not stand a chance. Why? Because they don't have the secondary to hold up against Ohio State's wide receivers, number one. But two, it was like the aggressive nature of the play calling didn't allow them to get their feet really set in that game. Taking shots to Jeremiah Smith, getting the ball to the Emeka Egbuka, getting the ball to the backs in space in order to affect the defense, man, like that game plan is where they should live. Ohio State does not have to prove to anybody that they can run the football or be tough at the line of scrimmage. Man, go play in space, and that's one of the best offenses in the country. I think that was proven out against Tennessee. I think that was very much proven out. And in a lot of ways, this is the offense that we've wanted to see all along. They have been planning for a long run into the playoffs all season, which is why that they've played slow. You know, they've played deliberate from like a speed and tempo standpoint all season long. And in the conversations that I've had with Coach Day and Coach Kelly, going all the way back to last spring, we talked a lot about like the long nature of the season, how it's going to resemble more of what the NFL is versus what the college has been traditionally. And one of the things that they talked about is this idea of pacing themselves and making sure that they are ready to go both from a schematic standpoint and from a freshness standpoint with their skill guys, late into the season. They felt like they were going to have to play 16 or 17 games, and lo and behold, here they are. They're going to have to play 16 games to win a national championship. And so that in a big way influenced the way that they wanted to use tempo or the fast speed of the offense throughout the regular season. Now, their best, without a doubt, when they're using their speed, using their talent, playing in space, and playing fast. I know that they don't want to do that all the time, but that's when they're at their best. And there's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. And when they are in that mode, they're incredibly difficult to stop. Incredibly difficult to stop. It still boggles the mind. You watch that game, and I know, again, it just ended. And at least a part of me in the back of my mind is like, how was the game plan against Michigan the game plan that it's still, again, I know I'm probably ripping Band-Aids off for Ohio State fans that are going to hurt. But the aggressive nature against Tennessee was there. Meanwhile, on the other side, the defense was totally dominant against Tennessee's offense. Tennessee's offense really didn't stand a chance. Now, I was really looking forward to see Dylan Sampson, and he didn't come to fruition at all. He got back in late in the game. He didn't really get any carries. Josh Heupel was cryptic at halftime with Marty Smith about like what was going on. Like, I didn't understand what was going on from a Tennessee's offensive game plan perspective. And here's why. Okay, I won't get into a ton of X's and O's, but this one was interesting because Ohio State's defense, I felt like, played one of the most unique game plans that they had played all season long. Now, meanwhile, Tennessee's offense and their structure and what they do to attack you is unique. In fact, there's not a lot of teams that do what Tennessee does. It's this old kind of Art Briles style spread downfield choice passing game, spread run game. And what they do, it's a numbers equation. So they're going to spread you out as wide as they can possibly go with the wide receiver splits. And then if you put enough run defenders in the box, they'll throw the football on what they would think to be passing numbers. And if you defend the pass and you don't have enough run defenders, then they'll run the football. So to them, it's just a big math equation over and over again. Well, this is what Ohio State did, is that they just went back and they played soft pass coverage most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time. And they said to their defensive line and their front six, really, with Cody Simon at linebacker and Sonny Styles at linebacker, they were like, those guys are going to handle the run game, and those guys are going to handle the pressure up there. And then we're just going to leave everybody else in coverage. And what that did is it forced Nico Iamaleava to hold the ball. And when he holds the ball, now all of a sudden the pass rush can get home, which it did. And in order to get them out of that defense, you have to run the football. And Tennessee was never able to run the football. In fact, the most effective run game that they had was Nico Iamaleava either on a quarterback draw or on a scramble. Ohio State's defense played really well and proved why they are one of, if not the best defense in college football. I've been saying it since the spring. I thought that they could be the best defense in college football. They are statistically the best defense in college football. They came in as the number one total defense and the number one scoring defense in the country, and they didn't prove anything other than that against Tennessee. Tennessee really didn't threaten them at all. They had a couple of nice drives, and credit Nico for settling in those drives, in particular right before the half, but never really threatening Ohio State. And I think that was, I don't know about the shocking part, but that was the part that was certainly at the forefront when you're talking about this potential upset that Tennessee could have had. There was just nothing there. Like, Nico didn't have anything to go to down the field, and there wasn't any run game. And this is what happens in road environments. If you're Tennessee, you have to be able to run the football. You have to. Because then it allows you to take some pressure off your quarterback. And the pressure in terms of both the pressure from the defense and the pressure of production. You see, if your quarterback just has to put a cape on his back and be the best player on the field at all times, it's going to be difficult because those are tough conditions. That's a tough defense. That's a tough environment. That's very difficult for a young quarterback to do. And by the way, this played out in every single one of these games. So when Ohio State stops the ability of Tennessee to run the football, now it's kind of a wrap. With Ohio State playing aggressive on the offensive side, now it's just a matter of what is the margin going to be. And in the end, the margin is really, about 32. Tennessee scores kind of a garbage touchdown late. They make it somewhat respectable, 42-17. Really wasn't that close. It really wasn't that close. This Buckeye team, when they play that way, again, huge caveat, they're virtually unbeatable. And this is what I have always talked about as far as the flaw in the college football playoff is that the number one seed in the entire thing, Oregon, now has to play that Ohio State team, which is wild. And Dan Lanning's not going to complain, okay? He's not going to complain. He's not going to say anything other than that's the next game, and if you're going to win a national championship, then you got to beat the teams in front of you because Dan Lanning is that dog, right, man? Like, he's got that in him. Okay, so Oregon's not going to complain. But I will just tell you, like, something is broken that Oregon, as the number one seed, has to play this Ohio State team in what is their first round and the second round of the overall playoff. That's very difficult to do. Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you liked this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel, and you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.